indexing, we are using two list functions, which is greatest and least. So in max and minimum, which are the two other functions which is provided by Oracle SQL, we get the least and maximum, the smallest and maximum value from the single column. But what if you want to get the greatest value from multiple column values? So there we use the greatest and least functions. So it enables you to extract values from a group of columns. The format for these functions is simple. You use the greatest function, and in the function the parameters passed are the column names. There might be column 1, column 2, n number of columns, and same is with the least. So in contrast with aggregate function that works on group of rows, this works on columns. Now suppose you have a data table that tracks the total hours worked by employees on a monthly basis over the course of 3 months. So you can do this by here. Let's go to console, and I want the greatest value from employee ID, department ID, and salary. So what is the biggest number from these three columns? Now this might be irrelevant query here, but this will give you some syntax. So from the every row, it will be calculating the maximum from these three columns. So from the first column, 2400, which is salary, is the biggest value. So if I happen to print these values also with here, would be more clear to you. So you can say from the first row of records, 2400 is the biggest value. So it has shown us the greatest value from here. If you happen to use the max function, you can only use it on one column, which would give you the maximum salary, not from the multiple spanning column. So you can have either salary and say you have a commission and you want to select which was the maximum, whether it's a salary is maximum, monthly salary is maximum, or your monthly commission is bigger. So you can easily use this function, and it comes for each employee. So going to another example, you can use it from the dual table as well. So you are getting the greatest of 5, 18, 21, 3, 65, and least of 5, 18, 21, 3, and 65. So greatest give you the greatest value from the list, and least give you the smallest value from the list. For strings, it follows the lexicographical order. Now if I do the greatest from this list, the R, the starting character, is the last for it. It's E, F, J, and R. So Ruby is the greatest string here. In the least, it will be showing Edward because E comes first in the lexicographical order. Now, if my numbers were in string format, let's see what's the result. Because so you can see here that 9 is the least, greatest, and least is 12. Now, why this is? Because when you are checking the greatest from these strings, it is not converting this to a number. It is a string data type, and the lexicographical order of 9 in character set is the greatest. So first come 9s, then 12, 73, and 50. And when you are getting the least, 9 is not the least number here, because when starting, 1 is the least number here, and it comes prior to 9. So when you are checking the greatest and least, and the data is numeric or string type, you must be very careful, because there is no implicit conversion which is being done here, and it is following completely the lexicographical order sorting. Now let's go ahead and I perform this operation, and I have a mixed data type. I have 45 in string, apple, banana, 100, which is numeric, and I get the least and greatest from it. So the greatest in here is banana, because alphabet character set value is greater than 100, and the least value is 100 because numbers come before alphabets in the lexicographical sequence order. Now this can be done on date as well. You can get the greatest or least of date. So the string is converted to date, and we have 25th March 2017, 14th March 17, 7th Jan 2017. So we check the greatest date. 14th April 2017 is the biggest date here, and 7th Jan 2017 is the smallest date here, which is given by the list function. So when you want to enter multiple entries or multiple columns in it, you should go ahead with great and greatest and least. So there are a few more examples in here. You can see that if you have multiple data, just one important thing before that, if you are having a null in your data, if, or if any of the column value contains null, so that row value will be null, because null is the smallest value and it is actually no value, so it will return result as none. So you should be very careful with null data when using greatest and least. If any of the row from your column contains a null value, the result will be null. When you use greatest and least from these character sets, you can see that Z is the greatest and A is the smallest. So what if I happen to replace or add one more, a capital Z? So still you can see that small z is the greatest value, because small z has the higher value than smallest z. So that's for the current tutorial, and there is some difference between Oracle greatest and max and least and minimum. So this is being, I have shown you the difference, and you can see that both max and greatest will return one result, but max is an aggregate function and greatest is not. Greatest can return multiple rows, as we have seen, and it will return one row for each row of data you query, as it is not an aggregate function. So you can use greatest across the rows, and max can be used to go down the columns only, to compare the values in the same column in different rows. Now, similar, the difference between least and minimum, just like in greatest and maximum, it will return the greatest value or the maximum value. The least and minimum will have the similar difference, but it will return the least and minimum values. So that's all for today. Thank you.